Hey, welcome. Glad to have you with us. Glad to be with you. It is Gary on Guns, and we're bringing a couple of new folks to the table. Jordan and Kelsey are in. I'm sorry about that. You want me to talk into this? Into this thing?
You know what that is?
No. No, but I'll bet you do. I bet you're used to. Well, never mind. All right, so we got Kelsey and Jordan in, and they are here from the name of
from the Powderhorn. That's the
Powderhorn. Thank you. They buy advertising, so I should have known.
He's done this before, right?
No.
This is his first day.
Yeah. Oh, you lucky people you're on with the radio god. Anyway, Scott Van Kirk is with us, too. He's in the outer studio because we have so many people here. I am looking at a website here where they sell belts, and I have two of these belts, and I love them. They are the Super Belt. Ellis, welcome.
Thank you very much,
Glad
sir.
to have you in studio with us.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it is. Now, you sell a belt, and I've got two of them, and they're absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
And by the way, you can't have my ammunition, and you can't have my gun, and you.
I'm eyeballing that Rock Arsenal there.
It is neat, isn't it?
It's a nice gun.
Anyway, so what makes your belt so durable? I mean, it doesn't roll, it doesn't curl, and if you get into the bathroom thing, I'm going to hurl, but. But you kind of have to, because that's what made the sale for me.
Oh, that's awesome. So first off, it's not leather. That's the number one most important thing. It's not leather at all. It's a completely proprietary material. And the best way that I've been describing it lately is just imagine you take a ratchet strap like you'd use to tie down a load to a trailer or truck, and then cover that in a polymer coating. And so you've got double the strength. You've got the core webbing of the inside, and then you've got the exterior. There's no stitches in it, so there's nothing to rip apart. There's nothing to break. It's got 1,500 pounds of tensile strength. It's completely waterproof. You can soak the stuff in bleach, and it won't discolor. It won't fade. It's just ridiculously strong. And the bathroom thing, I'll use the clinical term. It's antimicrobial. So
no, go ahead. Use the bathroom term.
All right. So yeah,
it makes the case.
You never think about your belt as being gross until you realize it's the first thing you touch after using the restroom before you wash your hands, and you've never washed it in your entire life. And I talk about leather is made from skin. Skin is supposed to absorb moisture. It's supposed to stretch. That's great for skin. Terrible for belts. So my other phrase is, we rode horses until we got cars, and now we've got better technology. We don't need leather anymore.
And you can wash this in Clorox.
Yeah.
And it won't discolor.
Nope, exactly right. I literally do that now with the COVID world. Before I put them in the package to mail them to the customer, I spray them down with Clorox spray, wipe them down, stick them in the package, so I know I'm not transferring any germs to my customers.
And you got nice looking belt buckles. You've got some that I can wear with a suit. You've got others that would fit with a pair of jeans.
Yep, absolutely right.
So that's kind of neat. And you make them right here in Central Missouri.
Right here in Central Missouri, and the material is also made in the U.S. And I try to source U.S. buckles. I can't always do it, but like the stainless steel ones, they're from Canada. That's not too bad. At least we're on the same continent.
Close enough for government work. TheSuperbelt.com. All right, Jordan, you and I chatted earlier in the week. You were on the national show. Glad to have you in studio. You're former law enforcement?
That's correct. Yep, I spent quite a few years doing that in my childhood days.
In your childhood?
6 years old sheriff.
He's a kid right now.
I consider that my first career, but yeah, I spent I guess a total of probably 12 years in law enforcement.
Oh wow!
But finished off as a reserve deputy, but yeah, about 12 years total. Most of it full time.
And then you also did training with law enforcement.
Yeah, we did lots of in-service training, but then I ended not really ended, but yeah, I spent a few years at LETI, at the Law Enforcement Training Institute here at the University of Missouri, working as a faculty member over there.
So you've worked with guns quite a bit, but now to the crowning jewel.
Thanks.
Tell me about your background. How did you get involved in this? I've listened to your commercials, and that's why I told the sales department, you got to get this girl in here.
I think you could say I was born into it. Like, quite literally. So my dad owned Powderhorn for 34 years. I guess he bought it from Don Mays in the 80s. I was born in the 90s, and I grew up in that store.
Born in the 90s.
I know,
hate
and that's
this
yeah.
girl already. That's just disgusting. Born in the 90s. All right, little girl, go ahead.
But no, Dad brought me in doing little stuff at first, scraping arrows, fletching arrows.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. What does it mean to fletch an arrow?
Literally taking pieces of plastic or feather and gluing it to an arrow shaft.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. It's really fun. You should do it for about 4 years. You will never want to touch another arrow in your life.
Really helps you become one with who you are.
I'm telling you. I tell people, if I fletch your arrows, it means I like you. Because I refused. No. But I was, 10, 12.
Well, I
started
think
doing that.
I think Gary's arrow experience was at Little Bighorn. So there's a little different situation there, Kelsey. I don't think he necessarily knows what you're talking about.
I don't know, Custer. I think we did pretty good.
Oh, no.
Would you turn his microphone off? He interrupts the flow like that all the time. So, all right, so you were fletching?
I'm
You're
sorry,
working
what?
Yes, we'll go with yes.
We're going to have to just do a little editing there, Brian, on the fly.
Too late.
Too late. It's already gone there.
Oh, I can't get it back either. It's gone.
All right. So you've been in the business for a long time.
Yes.
And you know arrows and you know guns.
Yes,
And you like to shoot?
absolutely.
Where do you go?
We actually own some property north of town, but I do go, occasionally we go to the public ranges, when it's either inclement weather or you need a covered area to shoot. Also, it's nice to have a solid bench occasionally.
Got your own range?
Sort of. It's a field.
Doesn't sound the same when the second time around.
So we...
Private range sounds way more upscale than, it's a field with a hill.
We actually have a legitimate backstop. We have 6 hanging steel targets. We've got a dueling tree, and we've got one of those little walking steel targets. We have a pretty decent movable target stand. So, like, say someone wants to shoot a rifle at 300 yards. Pretty easy to do.
I guess she does have a range.
Yeah.
That's all you really need.
That
It's more
sounds
than I
right.
got in my backyard.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll take out 2 or 3 neighbors if I let loose at all. Anyway, Powderhorn, where are you located? So people know if they
We
want.
are off of Paris Road. If anybody is familiar with Paris Road, we are straight across the street from like D&H drugstore, Boone County Bank, stuff like that. It's the old Sutherland's building.
Mm-hmm.
Some people still kind of remember where that is. But basically, we are more or less where like Paris Road meets Business Loop.
I was in, and I was telling Jordan this a couple of years ago. I was in, and you guys had a revolving rack with rifles in it, and you had a Winchester 3840, 1873 lever action. I drool over those rifles. I love those rifles. And to this day, I wonder if I made a mistake or if I should have bought the thing.
If you're still thinking about it, you
I
should
should have bought it.
Yeah.
She's kind of a true salesperson, isn't she?
Hey,
She's been
She
doing
doesn't
it for a
stop
minute.
selling it. Scott Van Kirk is playing with one of the firearms that you guys brought in, and I think he's buying that.
yeah, I already
took it apart,
texted one of the guys
so,
and said set it back when he goes in. So it'll be there later for him.
This girl's a hard sell.
She's always on the clock somehow.
That's the way to go.
Well, she's already moved to the top of my list. She's one of my new favorites.
Thank you.
And that 1873, though, the one you had was an original, though. It was made in like 1874. You actually got it?
I bought it new.
You bought it new, right.
Yeah. It's one of the other reasons we beat you, Custer. All right, we're up against the clock. Quick break. We're going to be right back. Super Belt, Powderhorn, right here. Gary on Guns, Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle. Hey, welcome. It is 20 minutes after the hour. Glad to have you with us. Glad to be with you. Kelsey is in from Powderhorn. She brought Jordan along for the ride. And then we got Ellis here. He's the belt man.
Yeah, thank you.
What has happened to this program? And then Scott Van Kirk is in the outer studio. He is former law enforcement and also a trainer. I'm seeing all kinds of stories in the news about how challenging it is to get ammunition, and I keep seeing these stories over and over and over again. You can't pick up a journal anywhere or online at any firearms reputable website and not hear about how challenging it is. And it doesn't seem to have any end in sight. How are you guys doing over at Powderhorn?
We're getting by. We're doing what we can. I'd like to think we're doing better than some, but I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say on a national scale,
But
we're getting enough to cover most of the guns we're selling.
so if I buy a gun from you, chances are I'll be able to buy a
Yes.
box of ammo to
Yes.
go with it, as opposed to using it as a club or something to
Or a really pretty
throw at the
paperweight.
bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. There's some stuff that they are obviously producing more than others. The stuff that they can sell literally billions of units of, 9mm, 223, stuff like that. Some of the other stuff is getting tougher to find. Believe it or not, 38, 357.
38. I
Yeah.
would not have thought of 38.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a
Yeah.
case of 30.
And 357.
Right.
It's not a common.
We'll get-
I don't feel like it's common round.
I mean, normally it is, but it's one of those things. They're not going to produce something that they're just not going to sell as much of. Now, they would right now, but long run, they'll
Yeah.
sell more 9mm than
For sure.
anything.
That makes sense.
All right, and I almost hesitate to go here. Shotguns? Shotgun shells? How you doing with those? Jordan, why are you laughing?
Well, we have some fantastic selection of 28 gauge. I mean, just about anything you want to do with a 28 gauge, we can handle.
Until everybody
20.
figures that out, and then they all buy 28 gauge,
28.
and then that'll run out too.
Yeah.
No,
Oh my gosh.
we stocked up on turkey loads early.
Yeah.
We saw that writing on the wall pretty
Poor
quick.
turkeys.
Yeah. Well, we had people trying to buy cases of turkey loads.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't know what people are going to do with 100 rounds of turkey ammo, but
that's 200 years of
that takes a
shooting for me.
long time for a lot of people to go through. It would make great home defense ammo, though.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
That was exactly
Yeah.
my thought.
I definitely don't want to get shot with a 3-inch longbeard. That would not be fun.
28 gauge. Do you have shotguns to go with the 28 gauge?
We have one coming.
One. We have one.
There's one in the mail. So read that. There's
Yeah.
one in the mail. It will be here.
It'll
We
get
promise.
here in
So we'll get
3
it.
to 7 weeks. No.
We'll get a giant rubber band and we'll make a slingshot and just throw the shells at them.
It's a pretty good size. You can really chuck those if
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
take a little practice at it.
High velocity.
You hit them in the eye, boy.
That's right. They're going down.
Especially the high brass. It's a
It's a
little
new
bit
marketing
heavier.
strategy,
Oh, man.
Gary. If you've got ammo for it, then you just order a gun. It's like, oh hey, look, we've got this.
Yeah, you go backwards, right?
That's actually, I think we did that with a 17 Hornet.
Did you really?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of 17 Hornet.
I'd say we've seen a lot of rifles sell and shotguns and handguns where they had the ammo, so that is what they happened to search for, or we had the ammo, so they bought a 300 Weatherby mag to go deer hunting with, and just, well, we had it, so
Yeah.
that's what they bought.
Oh wow.
So, but if you just turn the radio on, we're talking with Kelsey and Jordan from Powderhorn, and we're talking about right now the availability of ammunition. And like everybody else, they can't get their hands on it. One of the things that the Democrats are trying to go after right now are AR-15s and semi-automatic rifles. All of us in this room and probably everybody listening to us right now understand that that's just nonsense. But has that increased the demand for AR-15s? Has the word gotten out that they're going to try and ban them?
Yes and no. We've been through this before.
Yep.
It's not the first go around with people, trying to go after guns that look scary. Or what they think looks scary.
Can we just make them all pink and then will they leave us alone?
Or put, brown on them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It works, I guess. But I think some people are starting to get nervous. We're seeing more push for the standard, what I call a standard capacity magazine for an AR. So a 30 round, a 20 round, something like that.
She deserves a pat on the back.
Well, it's not high capacity. It's standard. They come with them. That's standard, right?
Scott points, every time we talk about one of these stories, Van Kirk says, no, it's standard.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure... all right, he's giving me a hand gesture. Why just the one finger? What the hell does that mean?
No, and I'm happy to hear Kelsey refer to them as that as well because it's a standard capacity. And to be honest with you, if you get a magazine that is larger than standard, that is simply enhanced.
Correct.
That's an enhanced magazine,
more
enhanced
efficient.
capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
So we're seeing people push for magazines and stuff like that, especially the 30 round or more AR mags. We're seeing some people getting nervous, like if they have a Ruger 1022, which is in fact a semi-automatic rifle that takes a detachable magazine.
Yep.
There you go. They make 25 round mags for those guns, and people are starting to look for those, and it's interesting.
I got. I like the biggest magazine you can get for my wife. My wife loves to shoot, and I've got the most fabulous picture of her with her blonde hair blowing in the wind, shooting an AR-15. I mean, it's just sexy as hell. The problem is, we got a 22 conversion kit so that it would be a little less expensive to shoot at the rate that she likes to shoot. And I discovered that I don't get to shoot then because I'm constantly reloading the magazine. And as soon as I can,
That's your only job.
Yeah, let's go shooting. Okay, honey, let's go. What she should be saying is, "Let me go shooting and let you go loading." And so that maybe if I can get a really large drum for 22. But it is such a fun rifle to shoot, and the history of the rifle came out, I think, in the 1950s as a hunting rifle, and they're trying to say it's a war machine. It's a
Well, so I've got a gun. I built an AR several years ago.
Oh, they're going after those too.
Oh, I know, but it's I built it to coyote hunt with. Essentially, it's a super lightweight, easy to pack, easy to swing. But the first thing that gun ever killed was a deer. We had a friend that, his son was little bitty, wanted to start deer hunting, and he bought him a 243. And to be honest, that gun was beating the snot out of him. He was just too little.
Too small.
Yeah, to handle the recoil on that ultralight rifle. So I told him, I said, dude, just borrow my AR. Winchester makes a 64 grain soft point. I've killed deer with it. It's perfect. So he borrowed it. He shot it 5 or 6 times, fell in love with it, ended up killing his first deer with it. And then his dad bought his own AR for the kid to hunt with for the next, 2 years, I think, before he got big enough for the 243.
I'm going to point out to everybody listening, every bachelor listening, this girl's got a fiancé. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, here's a girl that loves to shoot, managed to make her own AR-15. I'm assuming an 80%.
No, I bought a lower and
put it all together.
Put it together. Yeah, I basically picked what I wanted.
She's taken. I'm just letting you know, she's taken.
The good ones always are.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
That or they're
lucky
crazy.
Guy.
50-50. Don't look at me.
She said that. Yeah, I'm looking at Jordan only. Jordan, it's just you and me now.
Yeah. No, she's not crazy. She's wonderful.
She's holding a gun. He has to say that.
He's holding up a sign that says, "Please help."
Oh,
that's awesome.
I'm losing control of the show.
You lost control when the show started.
Yeah, I'll be a bartender in Cleveland if this keeps up. All right, 874-9390. The toll-free number is 800-529-5572. If you've got questions, if these people can't answer, nobody can answer it. And we will take those calls. You can also get us on Facebook at Gary on Guns. They brought in half the store. I think this is this is perhaps the safest building in the entire world right now, because we're all out here flashing our carry guns and exchanging notes. Scott Van Kirk by now has probably disassembled a firearm that he took to the outer studio. We'll find out all of that shortly. So you are listening to Gary on Guns, and how many firearms did you guys bring in? I mean, besides your own personal carry.
1, 2, 3,
5 or 6.
5, I think.
5 or 6. And they'll be at Powderhorn by what time? What time do you guys open?
We open at 9.
So whenever we get done here, they'll be back over there.
About 10 after 9. You're listening to Gary on Guns, Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle. Hey, welcome. Glad to have you with us. Glad to be with you. It is Gary on Guns. It's 36 minutes after the hour. And the folks from Powderhorn are on board with us this morning. They are on the business loop. No, you're not. You're on Paris Road. Paris Road. Near
business loop.
Near the business loop. That's close enough. Do you have a website that you could send
Not
people
yet.
to?
Yeah, we have a company working on that for us, so it should be up and running soon.
If it's, I will tell you honestly, because I know that you were pointing and kind of clowning around it. That Zimmer is doing that. Yep. They are really good at that. They're really good.
They handle our other websites, so we are looking forward to that pretty soon.
Yes. Yeah, that is neat. Ellis is in from thesuperbelt.com. By the way, if you look up superbelt.com,
I don't own that yet.
You should take that out.
I'm trying.
Because you certainly are.
I'm trying.
I've noticed that about you. Really, you're trying. But the belt is fabulous. and I'm promoting you and doing this because you're a local company. You're just getting started. You got a terrific product. I mean, I've seen you pull vehicles with your belt.
Yep. 4 to date with the one I have on right now. It still hasn't stretched out.
Yeah, that is enough tensile strength to hold Scott Van Kirk's gut in.
Yep.
That's how powerful that is.
Hey, now.
It's gonna come close.
There, little bighorn.
The
Simmer
tensile
down.
strength of Bethlehem steel.
It seems really comfortable and pliable, which is really, really nice because I think the number one downfall of most people stopping carrying concealed is because it gets uncomfortable, whether it be weight of gun, belt, holster, whatever it is. After the honeymoon period's over, they put it aside because it gets so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now, do you routinely? I generally carry inside the belt because I tuck in my shirt and then I have to blouse it over it. But it's probably not the most effective way to conceal carry. I would say outside the belt is a much better way to do it. Leave your shirt out, just sweep your shirt back, and you've got access.
Yeah, it kind of depends on, I guess you do it how you train and you'll be fine. But I'd say most people still carry on the outside just because of that comfort level thing. So I think a lot of people start inside, it gets uncomfortable, they move to outside. Depends on what firearm you're carrying.
Right.
If you're carrying
But then you have to dress appropriately.
Yeah, and they do
In the
sell-
wintertime, it's really easy.
Right.
I mean, you carry it on top of your head for crying out loud. You wear a hat. But come summertime, when you start wearing lighter and lighter clothes,
Yeah.
it's harder to...
That's usually wearing inside the waistband, but you know your days of tucking in shirts. You can buy holsters that have little J hooks on them, so you can tuck your shirt in around the holster. But I mean, and we kind of take it for granted. You think about young ladies and how sometimes the clothes for them really don't help carrying a concealed weapon. And
But I'm
generally having hips doesn't help either because you put something on the hips and it just sticks out farther and you can't. I mean, it's tough.
there's not a one of us that wants that to change, but how what options? I know that there's a flashbang. We don't have to go into the
Yeah,
great details
that's
of that.
talk about uncomfortable. I do not like bra holsters. Essentially, one, they're hard to get to, and two, that's just it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Belly bands work well for most women. It's just basically a nylon elastic band that wraps around your midsection. You can wear it either against the skin or on top of like a tank top. They get warm, so during the summer it's not the
Not
best.
comfortable.
Yeah, it just depends. Short term, yes, you're fine. But if you're going to wear it all day, no, probably not. But you can generally hide a larger sized firearm for body size, comparatively, compared to inside the waistband. I prefer inside the waistband, personally. Whether you carry, appendix or straight, on the side or 5 o'clock or small of the back is kind of, I leave that up to the
Small of the
shooter.
back. I don't understand.
I
that.
hate it, but that's
what is
me.
that? NCIS New Orleans. They have apparently told everybody to carry the gun inside the small of the back, and all I can think of is what it feels like when I plop down in a chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Or
for
if
sitting.
I fall.
No.
It makes you have great posture, though. If you do sit with a gun
You
there.
have to sit straight up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It does.
No, if you're standing long term, it's not bad, but I'm not very flexible, so I can't get to it and draw it comfortably. And that's something to think about.
Well, yeah, because you got to reach behind. No,
Correct.
If you can't scratch your own back, that's the wrong carry for you.
Correct.
There is nothing about that holster position that I
No,
like.
I prefer 5 o'clock. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to hide. Most people have kind of a natural dip at that point on the back of their hip.
What about Scott?
Careful now.
Oh, I'm sorry. She said dip, and I went right there.
Kelsey, have you? You said you're a 5 o'clock carrier, not necessarily an AIWB person, but have you taken a look at Filster's new Enigma system?
I have not.
I would recommend. I actually finally just got back in stock. I ordered mine last night. I've seen it in action, as in I attended a course where they were actually doing the T&E on it, and it actually negates the need for even traditional clothing. It's a holster system that you can get away with wearing with a set of sweats. Or yoga pants and a number of other things like that. You were talking about belly bands being a little too hot, which I would agree with you, especially for summer wear, which is kind of where you need that most slimming holster carry. give a look to, it's called the Enigma, and it's Filsters, which is PHLSTER. It's John and Sarah. They're up out of Minneapolis. But give it a look.
Okay.
Scott, wasn't there a holster that, and we had the guy on the national show that with the pivots?
Yeah, that is Scott, I believe. I think we had the same name because that made a lot of confusion on the radio. And that is Celtic Holsters out of the Kansas area. His company name just changed from Celtic Holsters. It's Celtic Carry Gear, maybe. I'll look it up during the next break. Another interesting thing when Kelsey mentioned belly bands is that Scott over at Celtic actually makes a polymer insert for belly bands. So you actually get that trigger lock load, and you actually get that nice trigger protection. So it actually, rather than sticking the firearm in that little elastic pouch that is in the belly band, there's actually a holster liner that goes along with the belly band.
That helps keep the gun dry, too. That doesn't put the moisture against it. I Googled the holster you mentioned, and the first thing comes up that says, the pants optional holster.
That's, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not going there. No, not
Marketing
a chance.
genius.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, so the other alternatives, anybody here carry in pocket?
It's not possible for women's pants.
I have a
My
little
pocket
38
knife
I do
doesn't
sometimes.
Like,
I have a little 38, like a snub nose 38 I do sometimes, but very, very rarely. Yeah, it's just too uncomfortable, and the draw makes me scared.
Yeah, I got a little pocket carry. If I'm wearing a suit and I don't want to imprint and have the jacket, I slip that in my pocket, and I've got a holster that is designed for that.
Right.
So that when I pull the firearm out, the holster stays in my pocket, which is really important. But you do not want to carry a gun in your pocket without a holster.
Correct.
You do not want to put a gun inside your belt and think that somehow it's secure. There are lots of guys walking around without their manhood because that's where they put the gun without a holster. You think I'm kidding?
No, I know you're not kidding. That's why
all over
it's
the place.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Where they did those things. So it's good to get and I have a drawer full of holsters that I thought maybe, and then I tried them, and then I didn't.
And that's normal. That's completely normal.
You guys do the same thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I usually go through a lot. Now, once I figure out what I want, I've stayed with it for many years now because I've put so many repetitions into it. I don't want to have to start over with training, but I went through a lot to find okay, that's the one I want. I can carry most of my firearms like that.
Yeah.
I can use the same holster, and that way and I keep every firearm in the same spot on my body. So
one day this summer, we should all bring in the holsters that we don't use. We put them on a table and let people sort through them. All right.
Facebook Marketplace.
You're listening to Gary on Guns Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle. Hey, welcome. It is 50 minutes after the hour. Ellis is in from thesuperbelt.com. We've been talking about his belts and really impressed by the quality of those. If you're a concealed carry permit holder or if you're just a concealed carry person, because I guess now in Missouri we can carry without a permit. That is just a great belt for a whole host of reasons, including the fact that you can wash it down with bleach.
Yep.
And it doesn't hurt the belt.
Nope.
It doesn't stretch. It doesn't deform. It doesn't roll. It just is a hell of a belt.
Thank you very much.
Also, the folks around, and they're made right here in Central Missouri. Pardon me, madam. And the belts are made right here in Central Missouri. Powderhorn is in as well this morning. And I wanted to talk about the NICS check because they're looking at making some changes. The Democrats want to make some changes. And it seems to me that they could delay you getting a firearm indefinitely. And we'll do that in just a minute. Let me do this. We've thrown open the phone lines and said if you have a question, we've got the people who can answer it. 874-9390. The toll-free number is 800-529-5572. Tony, welcome. Glad to have you on Gary on Guns. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I unfortunately developed cancer right after I got a new shotgun, and I haven't shot the thing, so that's on my list of things to do after I get recuperated. I got a mammo box, and I'm looking for some silica gel packs to put in that to keep the moisture away from those shells and things. Do they have that at Powderhorn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all righty. Well, very good. What's your location again?
We are at 1915 Paris Road, Suite 103. So take Paris, kind of at the corner where Paris meets Business Loop, right next to the concrete plant.
I know that area well. My dad used to work there at McGraw Edison's warehouse. It's just down the road from y'all.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Tony, thank
Thanks
you.
very much, y'all. Have a good day.
All righty. Desiccants? You carry desiccants?
Yeah.
Really?
We sell safes, and you need that in a safe.
Yeah,
It's
and they
just-
make little bitty ones, that are good for ammo cans, ammo boxes. Or
For the listeners that don't know what that is, which is not me, of course. What is that?
When you buy
anything. new.
anything, a bag, purses, women,
Electronics,
Yep.
anything.
It's the little packs that say "Do not eat." That's silica gel.
You're not supposed to eat those?
Correct.
So now you tell
Now
me,
I know
right?
what you're talking.
It
Okay,
basically
okay.
just pulls
The
moisture out of the
anti-moisture.
air. Yes,
Gotcha,
yes.
gotcha. Okay. Desiccants.
Yes,
Wow, that's
most of the
a big
ones
term.
we sell are rechargeable, reusable.
Oh.
So when
Really?
they
How do you-
change color, there's a little window. And when it changes color, you put it in the oven at a very low temperature for an hour or two, and it'll change back. So basically from yellow to green or whatever the
Oh,
colors
that's
are.
cool.
Yeah, and you
like
can reuse
bake
it.
out the moisture. Oh, that's slick.
Yeah, so your $10 investment goes a long way.
Yeah, well,
Whoa.
see, that won't work. Everything I put in the oven, it's either a live sacrifice or a burnt offering. So I'm sure I'd have it in flames before too long. Wow, I guess I can't use that anymore.
Well, it's only $10, so go get another one, Gary.
Right. We will sell you more.
Oh, you are so nice. There she is doing the hard sell again.
Hey.
Doesn't stop.
So nice.
All right. So the next check, the Democrats are making some changes in the background check, and it seems to me that you have really done some homework on this. It could almost lead to an administrative way to deny somebody the right to get a gun.
Yes. So the proposed changes, I think, are in the Senate. They have not passed the Senate. They have passed the House. So they're in the Senate right now. You've got a couple different bills. One of them to extend background checks to everybody. So no personal sales anymore. There are some exceptions as gifts within a family. That goes out grandparents, grandkids. It even goes uncle, nephews, things like that.
All right. Now, I've been friends with Scott for 8-10 years. I trust the guy with my life. If I wanted to sell him a gun under this new bill, would I have to drag him to a gun store and get a background check done?
Most likely, yes. And a caveat on that I read this morning is the fact that the gun shop has to take possession of the firearm in the interim. So if you come in and let's say Scott gets delayed or denied, well, you're most likely going to have to fill out a form to get your gun back. Because once I take possession, it's mine now, and we're about to do another transfer back to you. And if you were to get delayed or denied, there would be a gun sitting there with no idea what to do with it.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to say anything to anybody. I'm going to make a deal with Scott, and there will be no check at all.
And that's
Because I am not risking putting my firearm
Yeah.
in your hands.
Well, not me, Gary, because I don't really do guns.
That's
Stuff
true, you
like
don't.
because
just that 28 gauge.
I have
He's like, I'm not going to tell anybody
28
on
gauge.
radio.
Yeah.
Well, he had more, but he had that boating accident. They all fell in the lake.
Because I fish weird. It's weird fishing.
Yeah. There's not a lot left of the fish after you've shot. You pulled the trigger.
And on top of that, they're looking at expanding the waiting period. Is the other bill I shouldn't say waiting period. I apologize. The possibility for the delay period, because there are, and most people do get proceeded and get it done. I'll say instantly, but within the 20 minutes that it takes to do the procedure. The delays are going up as a percentage. They're going up. We got an email yesterday that unprecedented demand again, so they're just telling us, hey, you're going to get more problems. But the new bill would take it from what is 3 business days, which you need to understand doesn't count any weekends or any holidays.
Or the day you call it in.
It doesn't count the day you call it in, and you can't get it on the 3rd day. 3 full business days have to pass, so it would be the 4th business day. So if you got delayed today, it would be Thursday before you come pick up a firearm. Well, they're talking about a 10-day, but it's not really a 10-day. It's 10 days first, at which time, if you make it through the 10 business days, you can submit again to have a final determination made, and then you have another 10-day waiting period. At the end of that 10-day waiting period, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it a waiting period. At the end of that 10-day delay,
You know what? Everybody listening to you now knows that it is
It has that
Waiting
potential
Yes.
for that. But so today, let's say if you came in today and you wanted to go turkey hunting, turkey season is just less than a month away. I believe it's the 19th of April for most of us adults, spring firearms turkey season. If that was in effect and you got delayed, and then you asked for a determination and you still stayed in delayed, they didn't get you one, I could not get you a firearm to start turkey season on April 19th. It would be the 20th before I could get you a firearm.
Wow.
And that's a lot. So it's 30 days. It's a 30-day delay period.
One thing they are doing, Scott, is they're going after that gun show loophole that you always take advantage of.
For your 28 gauge ammunition.
Right. The one.
And the one 28 gauge for sale.
That's right. The one gun that I bought was a single shot 28 gauge, and I definitely bought it at a gun show.
There is no such thing as a gun show loophole.
No.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
You go to a firearm show now, and it's almost all dealers anyway.
Yes.
And so you have to.
And we have to do a check no matter where we are, period.
Yes. And if I'm going to go, if I go into a gun show someplace and some guy's carrying his shotgun or rifle or handgun that he wants to sell personally, if I'm not allowed to make the transaction at the gun show, well, I'll just go across the street and make the transaction. And then I might get shot because he might not really, want to sell a gun. He might want to just take my money. I mean, there are all kinds of things that don't make sense about this. Unfortunately, we're up against the clock. I'm going to let Scott sit here. But if you're looking for a great belt for concealed carry, thesuperbelt.com. Powderhorn. Man, what a lot of fun we're having here. You're listening to Gary on Guns, Hot Talk, 93.9 The Eagle.
And we're back, and it's actually Scott Van Kirk. I'm jumping in here on zero notice to fill in for Gary because it turns out that he has another engagement. He's got to go meet his lovely bride, Gwen. And to be honest with you, if you know Gwen, he does actually have his priorities straight. So here I am. And I've got in studio with me, I've got Ellis from The Superbelt.
Thanks, sir.
And we're going to talk about even more about that this upcoming hour. I have got Jordan and Kelsey from Powderhorn. And this is actually our first on-air where we've brought them into the studio. If you listen to the Eagle at all, you've heard Kelsey's radio commercials, and she does a great job.
Thank you.
And we're having a great conversation about any number of things. How are you guys doing today?
Great so far.
And we're doing wonderful on a beautiful Saturday morning.
It is
Yes,
a beautiful
it's
Saturday
gorgeous.
morning. And shortly, within the next hour or so, I will actually be at Powderhorn, not signing autographs or anything, but I actually will be adopting something because I'm like, hey, I talked to Jordan earlier this week, and we were talking about a new gun that Smith & Wesson has released. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up as well. And I'm like, hey, can you guys get any of those? And they're like, oh, no, we can't find those anywhere and stuff like that. And lo and behold.
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. So,
We now have 3.
oh, no, you have two.
You have 2.
Well, yeah. Soon to be
We
2.
may have 0 now.
And we actually have more coming also.
Excellent. We have got a call holding on from last hour, so let's talk to Rodney and see what he's got going on. What's up, Rodney?
Doing great. With all of the attacks on our Second Amendment, I haven't heard any new news on NFA items for quite some time. Have they made any attacks on that front?
Well, I'll give you my answer, and I think Jordan might have a little information as he is looking across the table at me. To the best of my knowledge, the only thing that I have heard is there is a push to make certain things like pistol braces, weapons that were equipped with pistol braces. There was some talk right around after the election and coming into the new administration that those would become NFA items. Now, as far as anything else going on with NFA, Jordan, have you got anything?
I don't have anything solid that they may be transitioning over to NFA. Most of the stuff, once you get your $200 and you get your tax stamp, depending on what you're purchasing, the NFA rules in our view are actually way more lax. I mean, you're able to do way more things, and us as a Class 3 SOT dealer, are actually way more lax on the NFA items than it is on the standard firearms for what we can and can't do. But I've heard nothing about raising fees, lowering fees. Wait times are huge right now. Wait times are huge.
Okay, right. I had seen where wait times had gone back up again.
Yeah, 'cause
is that a factor of the current administration's views, or is that just blind luck?
It's probably a combination of everything. So, needless to say, the guys out in Portland is where that office is, and we know Portland has been interesting the last year. And then you had your shutdowns.
That's being kind.
That's right. And then you had your shutdowns where, the non-essential government workers were not coming, back March, April, May. Some of that stuff was happening. So there became, and it's really only 2 or 3 guys in an office doing all of them for the nation. So once they got a month or 2 behind, it just caught up. And then you had unprecedented firearm demand, unprecedented suppressor demand, things like that. So they've just gotten stacked up. I've spoken, so has Kelsey, with the people at the NFA. They're trying. They seem like really good people, that are the ones actually doing the work. Seem like nice enough people. And they're trying. It's just only so much 2 or 3 guys can do in a 40-hour work week with what it's required. But I haven't heard anything else about fees, mandatory wait times, anything like that going on.
And they're a completely separate division too, which will help. I mean, they're not the ATF like most people think of ATF. It is the NFA division is the NFA division. They have their own people, their own rules. So
yeah, it just, I have been concerned what would happen under the current administration.
Understandably, Rodney, we appreciate you calling in. You have a good day, all right, brother?
I'm trying.
All right, so Super Belt.
Yes, sir.
The Super Belt.
Yes, sir.
We have to remember that it is the Super Belt. We talked a little bit about Gary's wearing one now. Anyone else on the table yet? We're still.
I don't have one, but we're definitely going to talk after this.
I'm not as good at a hard sell as my companion over here.
you don't have to. You just hand the belt over and say, "Look."
Yeah,
there you go. And then I'm like, oh, hey, I need one of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a non-leather belt.
Nope, no leather. Yeah,
It looks a lot like a leather belt.
Yep. That's made to look like leather because that's what you're used to seeing.
Yep, exactly. Yep. It is a conventional buckle system, meaning like everything you grew up with that was a buckle and went through the little holes and everything else like that. I have had an example of the belt in my hands before. It is incredibly light, incredibly sturdy. Some kind of ridiculous tensile strength that allows you to tow your car if you need to, which is actually always a handy thing to have as far as I'm concerned. Dual purpose. And the other thing I noticed about it is it does flex, which is not common in leather belts,
right?
Depending on the animal. But it does have a flex to it that keeps you from it digging into your side like a good thick leather belt will. But it also doesn't have a roll to it.
Right. The vertical strength is crazy. Even if you take the buckle off, if you throw it in a circle, put a sheet of plywood on top of it, you can stand on it and it won't collapse top to bottom, which, as we all know, is super important when you have a gun on your hip.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't want that to roll because it's going to completely throw off your draw. And so, yeah, the vertical strength is awesome. But again, like you said, it's still very comfortable to wear. It's even got a rounded top and bottom, so most leather has got that hard cut edge. We can do that rounded top and again, so if it's up against your skin, it's just way more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it has that leather, because it's designed to look like a leather belt, it has more of that dress look to it. So if someone did get a look at like right now, if you looked at my belt that I'm wearing, you're like, oh, yeah, guy's got a gun.
Right?
Because it's nylon.
I've had NRA instructors talk about that too, that they can tell the difference when you're carrying a firearm. They go 1 hole or 2 holes tighter. Mm-hmm. And you can tell the difference. If you look at the leather belt, you can see that crease. Yeah. In these, you can't. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're literally, you can't hardly tell the difference. And something we were talking about when we were off the air was that we can do 1/2-inch hole spacing. So I offer 13 holes at 1/2 inch as opposed to the 7. Again, you just cannot do that with leather. It'll rip right through. Mm-hmm. Even if you do I don't know who came up with this idea, but to make leather stronger, they were like, let's put a band of steel in the middle of it. And I was like, that's a great idea. And then you put stitching on either side of it, it slices right through. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we can do 1/2-inch spacing, so you get that really incremental adjustment. If you got that inside the waistband holster, if you go outside, you can adjust. So it's not the difference between my gun's about to fall off and I can't breathe. So we want to give you that extra adjustment.
So before you walked into the studio this morning, what was your lead time on a belt if you ordered one today?
Oh, I'll make it and send it the same day.
Okay.
Yeah, I really try to. Sometimes it'll take me a day or two because the biggest thing is, Jordan, you were talking about, like, if I buy a 38, I don't do belt sizes. You don't say this is my pant size. And this is kind of annoying for some of the customers, but I have you I have you measure your exact belt, and I custom hand make it to exactly that spec. So I've had people say, I'm 38 3/4 of an inch. That's exactly where that center hole goes because it's perfect. It fits them perfect. It's a custom handmade item for you.
Excellent. Well, hopefully after today, we can get you so busy that the next time we see you, you're like, oh my God, I'm like 3 weeks behind because I've got so many orders.
I would not complain at all.
Because I haven't had a chance to test it in the field yet, but everything I've seen so far really leads to me to believe this is a very good quality product. And if you're in the market for a new gun belt, get a hold of Ellis at thesuperbelt.com. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, look at some guns. You're listening to Gary on Guns on the Eagle 93.9. And we're back. This is Scott Van Kirk. I'm neither a guru of any sort, nor am I Gary Nolan. I'm significantly shorter, and I'm much paler. We are back. I have got Ellis from thesuperbelt.com. I have got Jordan and Kelsey from the Powderhorn, which is out on Paris Road.
Yes, sir.
You guys have been out there for quite a while.
We've been in this location. It'll be 14 years this year.
That's what I thought. I'm dating myself a little bit, but I remember both locations. I remember the old location.
There
were three.
locations.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Three locations. Yeah, originally it was opened up next to the Paris Road Pawn Shop back when it was in the wonderful white building before Paris Road got expanded.
Okay.
Back in the 80s. Actually, 4 locations because in 1964 it was opened in the
Candy.
A-frame above Silver Key Realty.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. I remember the one that was like sort of, it felt like you were down in a hole.
Yep.
And it was half Village Inn Pizza
Yeah.
and half Scuba Shop.
Right.
Hence the Italian decor on one side,
Oh, man.
blue carpet on the other.
Right.
I grew up in that building.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
The first time I went there, I drove by and I'm like, oh, hey, gun shop. And I'm like, how do I get there? You can't get there. It was like a concentric circle to try and figure out how to get there. Your current location is much handier.
better.
Yes, much better. And you guys have a recent remodel?
Yes.
Okay.
We have done it's kind of extreme. It freaks people out. It's awesome. They walk in and they think they're in the wrong building. We took a wall out, essentially, half
okay.
a wall. Yeah. Rebuilt work counters. We redid the wall behind the long guns. So our higher end rifles and shotguns set up on a rack on the wall for people that haven't seen it. And it used to just be white behind it.
Okay.
And we put up basically what's a laminate flooring behind it. So it
cool.
looks kind of like barnwood. Yeah.
That's clever.
It's
Yeah.
really nice. We have redone most of the displays. We've moved some stuff around. We've rearranged a little bit, but it's very nice. I like it.
Good. Well, obviously, your opinion is the only one that counts.
Right. I like to think so sometimes.
So I've been made aware many times.
Exactly. Well, she'll keep making you aware until you learn. That's how that works.
I like to remind him he's stuck with me.
All right. So you guys brought some firearms in.
Just a couple.
Yeah, as the whole radio table is just full of, oh, look, guns, and more guns. Start anywhere you'd like. What do you got? Let's talk. What do you got? Show me what you...
I guess we'll start with the new Shield. So Smith & Wesson, actually I have both here, so we'll talk about both. Recently, Sig Sauer brought out a gun called the 365, which is a very micro double stack 9mm, which was kind of a big deal. Most of your concealed carry weapons were single stack. You could carry 6 to 8 rounds in a standard size magazine, and maybe get 9 or 10 if you bought aftermarket extendeds or whatever.
Enhanced.
Correct. So everybody thought, BS, whatever. There's no way a tiny gun like that can hold 12 rounds. Well, yeah, here it is. So now we see all these other companies going, hey, that's a great idea. We're going to do that. So Springfield followed up rather quickly with the Hellcat. And now Smith & Wesson brought out what they call the Shield Plus, which is essentially the Shield, slightly widened, not much.
Hardly can tell.
No. If anything, I think it feels better. because it's not so narrow. That was my only complaint on the Shield, was how skinny it was. It physically is, I mean, no carry gun is fun to shoot, let's be honest, but it hurts in small hands.
Oh, yeah. It was a little too single stack.
Yeah, exactly. So they widened it out a little bit. They changed the grip texture. They changed the trigger, which is a big plus. A lot of people, if you know MMPs, you know the hinge trigger system. It's kind of horrible,
Right.
but it works. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not great, but...
It's better in the original Shield than it is in the full-size M&Ps, in my opinion.
Correct.
I'm a Shield carrier. I've been carrying a Shield for a number of years because I was looking for a single-stack 9, basically. And when the Plus came out, I was jokingly talking to Jordan. I'm like, hey, you guys got any of those? And he's like, no. He just shakes his head like, be quiet, fool.
And she proved me wrong.
And approximately 4 hours later, we had 3.
Yeah.
Well done.
We're just that good.
I like the trigger. It's a vast improvement. I like the texturing. It is not what you would, back in the day, we called kind of that skater tape, really rough sandpapery texturing that you would get from Glocks with the RTFs, and I think H&K USP was the first ones to really get crazy about it. Theirs is more like a file. Yeah. This has got that it's got that cat tongue thing going
it's
on.
grabby.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't scratch, but it's grabby.
It's got that feeling like even if you're soaked in sweat,
Yeah.
you're still going to be super
Oh, yeah.
in control.
It's not
It's got a
gonna-
great feel to it.
No, that we were talking about that last night at the shop. Had some people in looking at them, because we actually had them. And
Which I'm surprised that they're here today.
You don't have any more, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
well,
They're
normally,
gone now.
a manufacturer will bring out a firearm, not to name names, Ruger, and they'll be like, "Look at what we're gonna make in 12 months."
Yeah.
You're like,
Hey.
thanks.
That's like a movie previews,
Right.
like coming in 2030. Like,
Yeah.
why are you telling me this?
Right. If you can't make it,
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of our super cool gun
Yeah.
that
You
we
can't
don't
have.
that we don't really make
Which,
yet.
ironically enough, Ruger brought out a gun like this. They call it the Max 9. It's a micro double stack. We will see one eventually.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I am pretty excited about this, and as I told you, I carry a Shield. I carry actually a Gen 1 Shield. I'm not even doing I'm not even rocking a 2.0. And
You said yours is a single stack 9?
it is the regular single stack Shield. And one of the first things I did when I got my hot little hands on that Shield Plus right there is put it in my holster, and it fits the same holster that my regular Shield does. Doesn't appear to be any difference in that part of the frame, where the slide actually meets the frame, or in the slide itself.
Correct.
So now I don't have to buy a new holster. You know how happy it makes me to be new gun and don't need a new holster?
That's an extra $40 to get to go towards the next firearm.
Very excited.
Or 4 rounds of ammo.
Two boxes of 28 gauge.
Two boxes of 28
28
gauge.
gauge.
There you go. If they only made this in a 28 gauge, we'd all be set.
Whoever's watching the like Google Analytics right now, there's like all these searches going up for 28 gauge guns right now. Like, why is everybody searching for this all of a sudden?
It's like a 410, only better.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So it's really interesting. Sometimes I'm hesitant to buy the new model as it comes out, but this appears to be so similar to the original Shield that I'm not anticipating any engineering hiccups.
Right.
I'm really not anticipating any of the problems that you sometimes get
Right.
that are the hiccups when a brand new gun comes out. Because
Right.
in my opinion, it's not a brand new gun. It's just a significant improvement of an existing platform.
It's Shield guts in a new package,
Yeah.
essentially.
Not having to redo your training amount of time the rounds you've put through the one you currently have to be able to upgrade this. You don't have that in the back of your head, man. This is different. The sights
Right.
are different. The grip's different.
No, it's exactly the same, except the trigger's so much sweeter.
Oh, it's far and away.
I cannot wait, and it's like I'm counting down the time. Is it up? So we're almost there. Like, should we go best of for the last half hour and just go to the gun store? All right, so we are coming up on a hard break, but let's tease a little bit. What have we got going on that we are going to be looking at when we come back? We have got a couple of Wilsons, Wilson Combat.
Go over the Wilson Combat stuff. We're a full line dealer for them.
Oh, okay. All right, you guys do have a wide market share, because I know you guys are If I was looking for something hunting related, I would probably come to you guys.
Yep.
I know you guys have got a vast selection in that arena, but then to, pull a 180 and head to the other end of the spectrum and say, oh, by the way, we also are a full line Wilson Combat dealer.
Well, we also have an FN Scar right now, so.
We need to talk. All right, so we're going to flip it over to the news, and we'll be back to talk about those in just a minute. You're listening to Gary on Guns on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle. And we're back. Scott Van Kirk filling in for Gary Nolan. He was here for the first hour and had to go meet the lovely and gracious Gwen Nolan. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Beautiful woman, incredibly intelligent. Other than that, maybe a low self-esteem or nearsighted. We're not really sure.
Ouch.
Oh,
and you guys are friends.
Hey, he's going to leave me his radio show. I'm going to do stuff like that. We are back. That was Ellis from thesuperbelt.com. I encourage you to check out his website. Amazing product. I can't wait to get my hot little hands on it and start getting all gear weirdo about it. I have got Jordan and Kelsey from Powderhorn, and they've brought in a number of firearms for us to look at. Going into the break, we were talking about you guys being a full-line Wilson Combat dealer under the auspices of can you get anything from Wilson Combat, like can you get anything from anybody?
Yeah.
But let's talk about Wilson Combat.
So Wilson Combat is, we've always been a hunting store.
Sure.
And that is what we have been known for and kind of set us apart. We've all been hunters. You go back to Lee, you go way back to Don, you go to Kelsey, me, everybody that works there.
Kelsey's not so far back.
Kelsey,
No, I'm actually right here.
Kelsey just got here.
Yeah. That's right.
Snuck in. I don't know.
But, we've always been known to that. And so we wanted to expand a little bit, though, and appeal to everybody. And Wilson Combat has made a fantastic product for a long time, and they're close. They're just over the border in Arkansas.
Right.
Is where they make all their stuff. I've been to their facility once years and years ago, and they just make fantastic products. They tend to make products, in our opinion, that are more geared. I hate the term combat pistol, but that's really what it is.
Well,
it's
the name of the company is Wilson Combat.
That's exactly what it is. So they're more
They're pretty unapologetic.
Yeah, and they're incredibly accurate and they're wonderful firearms. But they've built most of their firearms with a thought of carrying the firearm, removing the firearm from a holster, presenting a firearm, reloading a firearm, and all of those things. And they've gone the whole route with it. And then they make fantastic products. And usually when you pick one up, we show people the difference between it and a good product. Let's say a Springfield 1911, right. A good product.
Sure.
But then when you put the two together, whether it be a 1911 style or not, the Wilson Combat's it's cleaner, it's tighter, the tolerances are better. They've just done a better job with the things that they've done. And they don't just make 1911s. A lot of people thought about that, and their 1911 magazines are probably one of the world-leading magazines out there. They make fantastic.
And have been for decades.
I mean, forever. So, but they make so much more. They have an EC9, EC9S, and that's their full line. The first Wilson Combat that was made pretty much a design from scratch. Absolutely love it. It's a 9mm. It's pretty small. It has a similar grip and an angle to a 1911, but it's their own proprietary stuff. It holds. I don't remember what the capacity was. I want to say it was 12 or 13 rounds of 9mm. So fantastic gun. But they also have partnered with SIG, and they've partnered with Beretta, and we've sold bunches of these. And they make a Beretta 92 Brigadier and a Beretta 92 Centurion that they get the slides, and I apologize, they get the frames from Beretta, and then they go and build and dehone and make it better, internals, just better tolerances on the exterior. And we sold a lot of those, and the SIGs and the Berettas, and those are $1,000 to $1,300 guns, which really isn't that bad for when you get into what a regular Beretta would cost you for that, or one of the higher end SIGs. You're in the $700-800 range anyway, and so they do a lot of work on it. And we've just been the customers have loved it. We carry their AR lowers and their AR uppers. Of course, right now it's hard to get any of those. And when we get, I think the last shipment was 12, and they were gone within 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, sure.
But they make just really good product, made in America. Really close. You could drive down, and they'll let anybody come in. At least pre all this, pre-COVID.
Sure.
If you just stop by, it was amazing. They kind of show you around their little factory they've got right there. So really neat products.
The Vickers Elite. I'm on their website. That is a sick looking gun. But what of theirs do you have in store right now? And what is that?
A CQB Elite. It's
Okay.
so it is one of their 1911 style guns, 9mm. It's not the cheapest gun that they build.
You pay for your quality.
It is high quality.
It's higher end, yeah.
It is. It's
higher
extremely
end.
high quality.
But Wilson Combat is, if you're serious about a 1911, and I mean serious about 1911, Wilson Combat's one of those names that immediately pops to mind.
Absolutely.
I've owned Springfield Armories that were nice guns, custom loadeds and things like that, and they were nice 1911s. They were not Wilson Combat 1911.
And it takes a lot. You can take a stock 1911, something like a Springfield, a SIG, a Smith & Wesson, whatever, and put the time and the work into it to make it like this Wilson. But that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of effort. A lot of people mess it up.
Oh, yeah.
We see that
And
all
knowledge,
the
the
time.
knowledge to do that.
Absolutely.
It's easy to mess
Or
up.
just start there.
Right.
Just
Or
start with the
just
Wilson.
Pay somebody to make it nice for
I
you.
have
That makes a lot of sense.
on occasion, I'm not going to lie, I have attempted with varying degrees of success to repair a 1911 before, where essentially all I was doing was replacing a fitted part and hand fitting it into the gun. And I'm like, I understand why actually there's people who do this professionally.
Right.
Because I would get it done with the amount of knowledge and experience I had, and it was on my own guns and things like that. But I would be like, man, this is taking a long time. And I know that if I really had a higher skill level, like the guys at Wilson who build these things, it'd have been just like that.
Right.
Yeah, they make some really nice, tight, high-end products we have no problems with. We also carry the Les Baer stuff. Les Baer, probably more oriented, I think, towards hunters and precision.
Okay.
The sub MOA stuff at longer distances, fantastic, but they're built a little bit differently. But it is nice to have somebody else do all that work for you, especially on a carry gun. You get a little. You have to think about that. Hey, you're going to tinker with a carry gun, guys. That's a gun you want to make sure it goes bang every single time.
Well, or that'll open you up to civil liability.
That's
too.
what that's the
If you
exact
ever
thing I
have
was
to
thinking.
use it,
The number one
you
thing they say:
alter
don't custom load your ammo. That you're, don't reload your own ammo for your concealed carry. Yeah.
No, you need to have you need to have sort of a factory preset.
Right.
Yeah.
In so much as this is, if I needed to replicate this gun by walking into a gun store and saying that's the gun that I used, and they could buy one right off and compare the two, is one of the issues that you consider from a legality standpoint, and as regards to the ammo. I mean, if you can do it, and I'll throw this one out, if you can do it, you should have a sample of the actual ammunition that you are carrying in your firearm for personal protection secured at your house.
Right.
So that if you ever had to, for whatever reason, during an investigation of a shooting or even the civil portion of it, you could present that and say, no, this is what I was carrying.
Right.
And
there's probably some people that are going to yell at me for saying that, like, I'm going to reload my ammo. And the defense I heard of it was from CCW trainers that said, if you are reloading your own ammo to carry for your conceal and carry firearm, the lawyers, if you ever have to use that, are going to paint you as this guy down in the basement just maniacally wanting to kill somebody.
That's right,
and so that was their logic behind
absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
They said, buy off the shelf,
You're
buy
obviously
quality.
the guy down in his basement who is filling his hollow points full of mercury.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
and everything else like that. And I consider that to be a valid point. And yes, there will be people out there that will chime in with their constant, well, actually.
I know.
But, yeah, anyway.
The actually guy.
We have got to go to break. We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to Gary on Guns. I'm Scott Van Kirk on the Eagle 93.9. Actually, it's Scott Van Kirk filling in for Gary. He had to bail on us for the last hour of the show. I got to come up with a saying. I don't have any sayings.
You need a catchphrase.
I need a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Maybe a motto.
Ooh.
Some kind of a motto. But I'll work on it. So that was Ellis from thesuperbelt.com. You need to go and check out his product online. I tell you, I'm stoked. I'm stoked about the new belt. That's where I'm
Give me a
headed.
shout. I'm ready to get it to you.
All right.
I just need that measurement. You got to measure it.
41.
You have
41.
to
41.
You measured from the belt to the tip.
You know
You're ready?
what?
All right. Perfect. I'll get it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm sure we can get a couple samples maybe over at the Powderhorn so people can come touch it if
There
they
you go.
wanted to touch it before they ordered. So we'll
belt.
work on that. Yeah.
Yes,
The belt.
he wasn't real clear on that. We kind of.
He was over here touching his Beretta before, so I just wanted to clarify.
I was like, oh, how do we awkward?
I'm good at that. Sorry.
Oh, and really probably the only class in the room at all is Kelsey from Powderhorn.
He says that after we go to commercial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no, and so you can talk and say whatever you want because, yeah, like I said, you're the only class in the room. These two are on probation.
He clearly does not know me very well yet.
Hey,
There are those of you that do.
Fake it till you make it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, look at me. Look, do. Look, I got dimples. Play that up. Play that up. There you go. I do have a real quick announcement because I'm going, and I think it's worthwhile for other folks to consider going. So a buddy of mine owns a training company called Armed Missouri Incorporated, and it's down around Sterling, Missouri, which is southeast of Jefferson City. My buddy Chris down there is bringing in John Murphy from FPF Training, and he is doing a 2-day course on April 17th and 18th. It's an approximately 20-hour course that is going to combine a number of skills, and it's called Conceal, Carry, and Street Encounters. So it's not just a shooting course, okay? In fact, it's what I would consider to be an intermediate personal protection course, because you're gonna deal with managing unknown contacts, which of course he gives plenty of credit to Craig Douglas for the one who's actually developed that from ShivWorks, and you're going to deal with pepper spray. You're going to deal with actual firearms presentation, pre, during, and post personal protection incident, things like that. So I'm encouraging you to go to armedmissouri.com, take a look at their website in general, because I do a lot of other training, but specifically take a look at that upcoming course from FPF Training.
Is that open to the public?
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I'm not a cop anymore, so I'm not doing too much specific law enforcement stuff. This is on the civilian side.
Very cool.
This is specifically designed for the civilian side, and I think it's a bargain for 20 hours of training.
Yeah, continuing that training on after you get past the original concealed carry class, for most of them, the requirements are very, very limited for a concealed carry permit.
Oh, absolutely.
To get the
Absolutely.
traiing. So you've got to learn how to punch paper first, which is what it is. I mean, you do. It's nothing wrong with it, and you need to punch paper a lot in your life. But then moving on to a 3-dimensional thought of things that may and may not occur, not just on a static range, is very important. It's fun. Most people have a whole lot of fun with it, but then you can learn a lot of stuff that you can.
And I encourage you, as I always encourage folks, to seek out good quality training in addition to what your basic course was, and get outside your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Get outside your comfort zone. Go and learn from these folks that I recommend, especially because, of course, I'm never wrong. But
Gary's not here to argue with it.
the reason I say is I encourage you to look into some of the folks that I recommend is because I have existing first or secondhand personal knowledge of the folks, and I know where they're coming from. This isn't a course where they're going to beat you up for where you're at in the journey. This is a course where they're going to help you along in that journey, and they're going to make you a little bit better with everything that you learn from them. But sometimes you got to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You learn the most when you dive in with both feet into something that you're not overly comfortable with.
Yep.
Okay.
When Jordan mentioned before, too, you were talking about stressing yourself. Like when you're at the range and everything's perfectly calm, that's not the environment you're going to encounter when your adrenaline is dumped, when your vision is focused. So those trainings are so important. If you're going to carry a firearm, like we're talking about doing, like we're all doing, that's so important to prepare yourself for that situation.
Right. And it's very important, in my opinion, and I don't think I'll get huge pushback from any on this one, is you need to become more well-rounded in regards to personal protection.
I'm getting there.
There you go. You're doing a good job.
In regard to personal protection, sorry. That was not a fat joke. Okay.
Skill set and things like that. From your ability to talk to people and your ability to deal with things that come up every day on the street. There's a lot of crazy folk out there. Not necessarily always their own fault, that you find yourself in those encounters where it's not a gun problem.
Right.
It's a personal interaction problem. And I encourage intermediate tools. I encourage you that you get some training in regards to actual hand-to-hand, if you want to call it that, or martial arts training. I encourage the carry of pepper spray. As Chuck Haggard calls it, it's you need something between a harsh word and a gun.
Oh, that's a good phrase.
Because you live actually in that area. You live in that area between a harsh word and a gun.
That's where most of your interactions will take you. And when I was teaching at the academy, I served as the state subject matter expert in defensive tactics and ground fighting in particular. And we did a lot of civilian courses in that, from the RAD, the rape aggression defense classes, on through a whole slew of other things. And that's one of the things I think I push a lot. And the firearm is important. And the firearm's fun. It's sexy. It's all of these things.
It's cool,
It is important to have. But, man, the in-between stuff, you really need to have that. And once you get really comfortable with that stuff, you feel better when it does escalate to a gun-type situation. When it's a gun day, you just feel better.
It frees up what I like to call frees up a lot more processing speed.
Yep.
If I know that between a harsh word and a gun, I have these available tools to me, I'm better able to process the stressful situation because I'm no longer trying to access software to find out, oh, geez, what do I know how to do? What do I not know how to do? How is this going south so quickly? And everything else like that. If I'm confident with what I know and what I'm able to do and my skill set, then it is very much, okay, it's not that you're sitting back and watching it develop, but you're actually going, okay, this is my counter to that. And even if it's a counter with my ability to BS you, or through my counter to be able to actually get physically hands-on with you, or the deployment of pepper spray, and in the most extreme, the deployment of a firearm and stuff like that. I had the about 3 years ago, I'm trying to think, three and a half years ago, Chris down at Armed, Missouri was able to bring in Craig Douglas, and we did ECQC. That is the most eye-opening course that I have ever attended, and that is saying a lot. That's from over a decade as a law enforcement officer, as well as a student and a trainer in the civilian side, and it was just so eye-opening. And one of the things, the first 4 hours of that course is talking to people, confrontational, verbal confrontation, and dealing with verbal confrontation. It's a lost art. Now, here as we sit, I've got 3 salespeople that are across from me, as well as a former law enforcement officer like myself. And being a law enforcement officer is mainly just talking to people.
Customer service. It's just customer service.
It is.
Angry customer service.
But still customer service.
That's true. You're exactly right.
Yeah. Customer service. So when I say the ability to talk to people,
a lot of us take that for granted.
you take that very much take that for granted. That you could literally walk up and start talking to a stranger.
Right.
I could give you the assignment as a field exercise to see that person, go talk to them and find out find out A, B, and C about them. So you go up there and you would engage in conversation just to prove that you have the verbal agility to handle those things. Not everybody has that.
Or be able to read a person.
Right.
Oh yeah.
By talking to them.
Probably nothing worse than when we roll our eyes when we hear someone else tell a story, either as trainers, as leaders, or whatever it is you're doing. There's nothing worse because we're like, you didn't just tell them no. You didn't just take try to take advantage of that situation. We do take that for granted. And because it took years, I doubt at 19 we were doing that. It slowly came on with the training and everything like that. And that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. And obviously in law enforcement, also part of sales is, as you were talking about, Kelsey, is to be able to read a situation and to read people. We read people all the time. I've had a great time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And we are going to do this again. We're going to do this again. All right. Thank you so much. Everyone be safe. Take care of yourselves out there.